Oh, shit.
What about if we get copyrighted for that?
I just wanted to... That's less than 30 seconds. They won't take our shit down.
Are you sure we're on like 13? I don't know
Let's do it, baby. I know the law.
I don't know the terms and conditions of the other ones.
It's fine. Anyway,
Hello. How are you?
welcome to episode 4 of The Cliff. Welcome back. What's going on? How's your week been? You can't tell me that.
Yeah, you just gotta listen.
You might answer. I know there might be at least one person that like hears me say that and like, I'm good. How are you? Oh fuck.
Like that one person at the concert when the band's like,
How's everybody doing tonight?
And you're like,
It's actually been a rough week.
it's been a little different.
Isn't it kind of weird that people like when like the guy up on stage is like, how's everybody doing tonight? And everybody goes, ah! Like, what if you did that in normal conversation? Like, hey man, how are you? Ah!
And he's like, all right.
Oh, okay, fucking chill out.
Because I think if you're in that position, just like the volume is like whether how loud or quiet.
Yeah, like if it's quiet, you're like, okay, everybody's fucking miserable. Cool.
Yeah, because we just watched Turnover play.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
we're still digging at them.
I
Oh
hate
man, I know. Well, so anyway, welcome to episode 4. This week we are talking about conspiracy theories. I know a couple of people requested this. Jaden Taylor at Jaden Taylor X, Tia Newman at I can't remember her at. But Jaden and Tia, thank you guys for recommending that we talk about some conspiracies. I'm sure that people are always interested in listening to this kind of shit. So I think this will be a fun one.
Everyone believes in something different. Like there's like the stupid ones, like Martin Luther King was never assassinated, which is
objectively wrong,
Which
but
is-
people
yeah.
to think what they think. The ones about JFK and like who was the shooter, how many shooters were
Yeah.
there. Excuse me.
like there's those pictures where like with the JFK shooting where like they're like you see 2 bullets and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like who's to say?
There's
There's certain ones that you can argue, certain ones you can't. I don't know. My favorite one though is 9/11.
Yeah. So are we just gonna go ahead and jump,
Yeah,
jump in feet first here?
Yeah, we'll just jump in.
Let's do it. So,
jump
yeah.
off. We have to jump off. We don't
Just
jump
jump right off the cliff. Yeah, we don't scoot down.
Yeah.
We don't scoot to the bottom.
We take a leap of faith.
We
whether
leap.
there's rocks or water.
That's right.
But yeah, so I believe that 9/11 was an inside job. This is not negating the lives that were lost on that day, of course, which I feel is very important for me to say, because when I told my uncle this, he got very mad.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I was like, obviously, the people, like, the real lives got affected. They didn't find 2,000 people who were like, you guys want to die today? Like,
Yeah.
It was not like that.
It was an inside job, like in your theory. It was an inside job where the government alone was like, we're gonna fuck up something right now.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were like, let's hire 3,000 people to get murked.
Yeah, like it wasn't like that at all. So like, I know people who've been affected by 9/11. My nonna, which is grandmother in Italian, her neighbor actually worked in the North Tower, I believe it was, and for some reason he just called out that day.
My best friend from childhood, her mom worked at one of the towers as well, and like my friend was like sick that morning, and so she had to like turn around and take her back home, and so she was late and like missed it's like, and because we're from we're from New Jersey and we have family in New York, like we have people in that area, like that, like it makes it a little bit like more of a connection for us, because like we know people, we have family members and family friends, but then our family, especially like our parents and our grandparents, know even more people. I have like one of my mom's uncles was a first responder. Like there are just a lot of connections to 9/11. So, you know, I mean, it's a horrible tragedy. But so your theory though.
Yeah, so when I was a freshman in college, I took English 1102, and he told us that our final project could be whatever we wanted. It could be about a conspiracy theory, it could be about a video game, it could be about whatever. So I was like, let me see. And so I went into conspiracy theories, and I did 9/11 because this was actually when the meme, jet fuel can't melt steel beams, was really big on Twitter. So I was like, let me dig into it. Why not? So I believe it was, whether it was or wasn't, I mean, it's conspiracy theories are supposed to be debated, but so there was this guy, and I don't have the PowerPoint in front of me. I was trying to find it on my laptop, but cannot find it. So some of the names or facts might be a little off, but for the most part, what I remember is Donald Rumsfeld, who was like the leader, or like, I guess CEO, leader, whoever, like, he was in charge of like the aircraft, like, people. Forgot the name of them too. Man, if I had the PowerPoint, it'd be so much
Donald
smoother.
Rumsfeld is a former U.S. congressman.
Yep, and he was in charge of the...
He was the Secretary of Defense from January 01 to December 06 under George Bush.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he gave up his power to the president. And this was the first time in U.S. history where that has ever happened.
Okay.
They were running drills, like with planes and stuff. Like, they were running military drills on, like, in simulations of, like, cities like that. Like,
okay.
But they were trying to play it off like it was for war, but it was, like, modeled after, like, just random, like, U.S. cities.
Yeah.
But, so that was the weird thing. The other weird thing that I remember that I was looking into way back when was they got a lot of phone calls on the planes.
Okay.
This was 2001.
Right.
When we didn't have iPhones, the Galaxies, like, we didn't have service
they
or
had
Wi-Fi
like
on
the
planes.
phone that was like on the back of the seat on the plane.
Yeah.
And
like,
you had to like dial on that and like pay extra and shit.
Yeah, you had a Nokia where, like, it was a bar phone.
Yeah.
Like, which is not a term anyone hears anymore, but you had a bar phone.
Right.
Like, it wasn't like anything. They got, I believe, 234 is like the number that's sticking out to me. They got like 234 phone calls. But from phone calls from phones at that time period, that high up, when they did studies on it, there's only a 0.006 chance of a phone call going through. So you're telling me you got 234 of them from that high up in 2001.
So how does that tie into the theory? Like, how did, like, if, because you can't control like what technology was able to do in 2001, right? So like what's that part of that theory? Like,
so what continues with that is there was, I want to say it was a university in Texas. Man, if I had my PowerPoint, this would be so much smoother. I'm just talking from what I remember. There was a researcher that learned that you can clone voices with only 5 seconds of speech. So, and there was a particular phone call where the guy calls his mom, and he goes, "Hey, Mom," I forgot what his name. I'm just going to reevaluate it. It's like, he calls his mom, he goes, "Hey, Mom, it's me, Eric." Like, you don't have to introduce yourself to your mother. She knows you're Eric. Like, and that was one of the ones that were questioned. It was like, "Hey, Mom, it's me, Eric. Just want to let you know the plan." Like, everyone was like, "That's weird." In the first part, it could have been the cloning of the voice. Like, whoever did it could have just, found a way to clone the voices, or did simulation phone calls. There's another one where a flight attendant who was on one of the planes worked as a flight attendant for 18 years. And as the plane was going down, she was like quoted saying, or recorded saying, on like one of a distress call, she was like, "Oh my God, I see waters and buildings." She goes, "Oh my," and she was like so shocked, but she's flown over that place constantly for 18 years. Like, she acted like she's never seen Manhattan before. Mm-hmm. And whether that was like they were going down towards the water and buildings could be one thing, but like the way that the article was wording it was like, why are you so surprised? Like, you've been flying for 18 years. And then another thing was jet fuel can't melt steel beams, which it can't. Which scientifically just cannot. True. Yeah. I don't know if Bill Nye ever did something like that, but Bill Nye's getting very mad at us about global warming.
And he should be.
Yes. But that's besides the fact. I think like steel beams like melt at like 1200 degrees, and like jet fuel can only get like a max of like 800 degrees. It was something like crazy like that.
Nowhere near enough.
Yeah. But from what I could remember without doing research again on this topic, those were like the things that were like sticking out to me. It was that like the person who was in charge of like the defense and like the aircraft people like gave up his duties to the president, which for the first time ever. Then I'm sure they shut down operations for a little bit. The phone calls were weird. The guy introducing himself to his mom, which is weird. That lady acting shocked that she saw Manhattan. There's just a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, I will say about the phone call that, like, I mean, I think that we kind of do that. Like, if you call, like, if you call, like, your mom or something, but you're calling from a number that, like, isn't yours, right? So, like, even now, because, you know, like, if you were to call your mom from my phone, like, she would hear your voice but be very confused initially, right? It would be like, you know, I think I don't know. Like, I think that's one of those things that people do sometimes.
Which is why it's a conspiracy.
Right. So that's the part where I'm like, I don't know, like that one. I think like people just kind of act like that on the phone, like
Maybe.
especially in 2001 when it's like
when your plane's getting taken over by terrorists,
right? And like it's 2001 and like caller ID is not what it is now, and there's there's little to no information. You're getting a call from. I mean, you can't even really see the number, most likely, like, on whatever phone you're getting this call from. Like, you probably can't see the phone number. So, yeah, I don't know about that part, at least. But it's it's definitely interesting. Like, it's...
Yeah. And, I think it was also in, like, 96 when they had that van go, like, beneath... Do you remember that? When they had the van, like, full of bombs, like, go beneath the towers and, like, try to explode?
Yeah, and it, like, didn't work.
It was targeted for, like, a couple times. And, It was weird. And then I saw a bunch of, like, pictures and stuff saying, like, they had bombs, like, planted on the beams anyway. And there was, like, a picture of, like, when the plane hit. I never could find out if it was photoshopped or not because I didn't do enough, like, digging on this particular picture.
English 1102.
But it was, like, when the plane hit, like 10 stories down, there was an explosion that came out, like, out of a window. And, like, the caption of the picture was, like, oops, someone hit the trigger too early. Like,
right.
So, like... but like I said, I mean, we were there when it happened. We weren't there. We were 45 minutes away. We were close enough.
That was my first day of school ever.
Yeah.
That was like preschool.
Yeah, my mom took me out of school.
Yeah.
Well, I think everyone's moms took me out of school.
We had like a half day.
Yeah.
Because it was like preschool. So like we didn't have a full day. Our full day ended at like noon. So I mean, it's hard to remember. I was like 3 years old, but I think that I got picked up like at regular time. But usually it was my babysitter that picked me up, and that day it was my mom.
Yeah.
And I do know that my dad was supposed to fly back home from Cleveland that day,
and
obviously he did not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had to. Yeah. Yeah. So
it's weird to think.
It's really weird to think that like the worst day, debatably in American history. Was like an inside job, was set up, was this, was that, but I mean, and it's crazy, but it's a possibility. Like,
yeah. I mean, that's all conspiracies are, possibilities.
Yeah, exactly.
But like we said, we're not like negating the fact that people died that day. Real people died, and
whether the government did it or Al Qaeda did it or anybody else fucking did it, it's incredibly fucked up, and like it's the worst day to think about. Like
every year, September 11th is such a weird, it's such a weird day. It has like even for people like there's people now who are like learning about 9/11 as a history lesson
that weren't alive.
Like Kylie was born my little sister was born 2006. Like
Tyler was born in 2004. Like they were not even alive.
So it's crazy. But like for the people who are our age who don't even like really remember it, but like we were up there enough so we were around family who were affected by it. It has such a weird, eerie like feeling throughout the day.
Yeah, like I mean, you know, we grew up we went to public school in Georgia, so and they honor stuff and they like had the moment of silence and all that, but like. I mean, it just doesn't land as emotionally as it does when you go home to your mom and your dad who, like, knew people that were in those buildings or were supposed to be or were firefighters and...
Or when you go back home to Jersey and New York and you just, like, see how everybody is.
Yeah, and, like, I mean, it's, like, people just... I mean, for obvious reasons, but, like, people that, like, were more affected by it that, like, are from that area, just, like, it's just so personal, you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're specifically, like, it's on, like 9/11 or it's on, like, somebody who you lost on 9/11's birthday or something like that. But, like, you know, like, 9/11 jokes are, like, commonplace now.
Yeah.
And, like, for a lot of people, especially in this area, like, it's just, like, whatever to people. Like, they're really numb to it. But, like, you know, like, you don't see that with people that are from, like, closer to, like, New York City.
Yeah, if you were to say a 9/11 joke in New York City... I don't know really what would happen to you.
Yeah.
I don't think anything positive would come from that.
It's just very interesting, and it's very interesting to see, like, how it affected people.
Yeah.
And how it still does, and how it affects, like, the way
18 years
are.
It's crazy.
So.
But, there's, like, more to that theory, like, when that plane that hit the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Like, pictures, like, directly after it, like, there was no plane in the hole. like pictures from what I found and stuff,
Yeah.
there was no plane in the hole. Or like, there's also a theory, which I think I'm saying this right. One of the planes that landed in like the field in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, United 93.
Yeah, they couldn't find the plane.
Really?
Yeah, like, so certain stuff like that. Granted, whether those photos were taken 2 months after the plane hit or whatever,
Yeah, like,
but it's like weird to think about because like you think about all the other things that the government does, like Area 51, who like there was that guy who like escaped working at Area 51 and he like called that talk show or like the radio show, and the guy was like, well, let me keep you on. He goes, I want to try to get like some information, and the guy was like running while he was on the phone talking about Area 51, and he's like, they're doing this and that, and like he was like trying to give like very vague details, and then all of a sudden like his phone like he like screams and like his phone cuts out, and like no one ever heard from him again. Like you hear like all this weird shit that the government does, and you're like, I don't put it past them, because like the cure for cancer, or like the cure for AIDS, or like why cure something that you make billions of dollars off of every year?
I just think they're keeping a lot of things from us in general, but I mean 9/11 is really an interesting one because oh, and by the way, I only know that United 93 is the plane that crashed in the field because there's a movie, like a fictional movie about the events of that. And I like, it's like one of the first movies that I cried to, I think. That I can remember crying to anyway. Yeah, because they made it very much about like the people on the plane that like stopped the terrorists.
As it should be.
Yeah,
it should be about the victims and not the.
Yeah, it was very rough. To watch, especially watching it with my parents, and they were, you know, feeling that personal connection and all that. So it's a lot, but yeah, I mean, it's like 9/11. You think about like it was 2001, right? So the internet was brand spanking fucking new. We didn't have what we have now in terms of social media. Like I don't even think MySpace was a thing yet, or maybe it was just happening.
I'll figure it out.
You know, but like no Facebook, no Twitter, no YouTube, like. Google wasn't this all-encompassing thing.
August 1st, 2003 was MySpace. So MySpace was...
There we go, yeah. So no MySpace, no Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram, no YouTube. Like, none of that shit. None of these, like, social media platforms to get this shit around the world. And nothing to, like, so easily debunk things. So, like you said, like, with pictures, like, they could have been taken well after the fact. But if you just say, like... Look at this. This was taken just moments after. Yeah. Like, nobody can really prove that anymore. Like, there's no way to fact check that so easily like there is now. So, I just think that that's really interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
It's sad nonetheless, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like, the cure for cancer, like, why would you cure, like, if, speaking from, like, a government businessman standpoint, why would you cure something that you make billions of dollars on every year?
Right.
Like why wouldn't you just milk it? Because then if someone has cancer and you treat it right away, then you're never getting any of their money. But if you send them to chemo, or you send them to like specialists or you just keep spending and you get the money. Like why would you want to cure? And in 2019 we don't have a cure for cancer. Like, which obviously, I'm a social worker. I'm going to school for social work, and you're going to school for theater. We are not medical nerds.
Not even a little bit. I don't even know what a tibia is.
Tibia is your shin.
Good for you.
Or is your fibia your shin?
See? I don't fucking know.
There's a tibia and a fibia. They're both in your leg.
And there's a tibula and a fibula. I don't know.
Wait.
I don't know.
Tibia. Oh, shit.
We shouldn't do this.
We're not medical nerds. So, like...
Which is my point.
So, obviously, curing cancer is way more difficult. But like it's not like an average doctor's doing it. They have teams and teams and teams of people who dedicate their entire lives to this, and they can't figure out one little thing. Like sharks, they don't get sick. Sharks don't get cancer. Sharks don't get they are completely 100% immune to everything.
Well, and it makes you think about like all the money that like people donate to like cancer research as well. And
where's it go?
Well, and I think that's another thing about it is like. I mean, first of all, some of the foundations that take money for cancer research, most of it goes into their owners' pockets, and it's like a big scam. Yeah. So that's one thing about that. So do your research before you donate to charities like that, in general, really. But like, you know, people have been pouring money into like Relay for Life and like the I Heart Boobies bracelets and Susan G. Komen and like all those other like and that's really just talking about breast cancer, and there's a million other like foundations. and like they donate all this money to cancer research and you know all that stuff, and we still haven't figured it out. Like it just doesn't seem, something's off about that.
Yeah, because it's been decades of research, and with the I don't know. And like then you have people like with HIV and AIDS living like 30, 40, 50 years with it.
Magic Johnson
like
has been just comfortably living with AIDS for decades.
Since 91.
And like
almost 30 years.
And like it was like he had to retire from basketball. And this is not a sports conversation, just by the way. But he had to retire from basketball because he had AIDS and was like, I have to, you know, and then like all of a sudden a few years later he was like, by the way, my AIDS is just kind of like leaving me alone. Like he's like, I'm managing it, you know, like, and I'm gonna be fine. And that's not how AIDS is like supposed to work.
No, the article I was reading was saying he was taking, as they said, hideously expensive meds. So, meaning, I'm assuming, if you get AIDS as a rich person,
you're fine.
You're fine. Unless you're Freddie Mercury, which...
Rest in peace.
I didn't understand. But
I mean,
that was also, what, when he died? He died, like, before November 24th, 1996.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody. I know he died November 24th. Can't remember the year.
I don't know. But, I mean, there's also probably... I think that there's something there about, like, they didn't want Freddie Mercury to succeed.
Because he was a gay man?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But Magic's a black man, so, like, where's
that? Right. So, I mean, I don't know. It's, yeah.
It's, I mean, like we said, whether it's true or not, it's worth thinking about.
It's worth thinking about. I don't believe the whole, like, chemtrails thing that people talk about where, like, planes are, like, shooting off, like, those, you know, like, you see, like, the thick clouds, and that's allegedly, like, what's giving us cancer and, like, polluting us. Yeah. I don't subscribe to that. Yeah. I just think that we've become such a technological world that, like, there are just more, like, there's more radiation in the shit that we do, and, like, we've also just polluted the shit out of this planet. So, like, I think that we're just in, like, a dirtier environment.
Yeah, I don't think they're poisoning us.
No, I think that we're poisoning ourselves, and, like...
Easy, yeah.
You know, so I don't subscribe to the chemtrails thing, but, like, they've got to be hiding things from us. I know that we talked about, I was going to bring this up. So, like, the fact that, like, I definitely believe that we are not alone in the universe. Like, there are definitely other life forms out there. And I think that there are, like, other life forms here on Earth. And I even think that there are probably some that are walking among us. Like, I don't think it's just, like, people, like, you know, like, aliens that are, like, being held at, like, District 9 or Area 51, like, and being dissected and having research done on them and shit like that. I don't think it's just that. I think that there are... This is where I'm going to put on the fucking, like, aluminum foil hat for just a second. This is the only one that I think I really have that's like that. But, like, I think that there are probably, like, shape-shifting life forms out there that are walking among us. And, like... And I think that, I mean, I think I've probably met at least one of them, because, like, there are just people who, like... And there are people that, like, can't socialize, and it goes beyond, like, any sort of, like, social anxiety or introversion. There's, like, this level of, like, not understanding what it means to be a human being.
Yeah.
Almost like this, like, other life form studied us, but, like, hasn't quite gotten it down yet.
They're, like, in training to, like, become a human.
Yeah, they're, like, trying to figure out how to assimilate and just don't quite have it. And so it's just off. So, like, I definitely think that there are other life forms among us. And if you're one of those people that thinks that, like, like, humans and, like, everybody that's on Earth is, like, the only living shit out there, and there's not, like, not even on other planets or in other universes or galaxies, like, you're wild for that. You're more of a conspiracy theorist than I am then. And, you know, I just think that's wild. But, yeah, I mean... Like, we talked about it when we first started talking about making conspiracy theory an episode, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know how bold this even is to say anymore, but, like, we're definitely not alone here. And you were like, yeah, I feel like that's, like, the more accepted thing to believe at this point.
I mean, you gotta think, the Earth is 4.6 billion years old. There's no way that we're, like, the most advanced people.
No.
There's no way that we're the most advanced form of life to ever live in that 4.6 billion years. Joe Rogan talks about something in his, I think one of his specials, where he was like, we are probably, like, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 80th whatever like group of people to ever live. He goes. He was like, there's no way to build the pyramids in Egypt with the technology that they did not have back then.
Yeah.
He goes, so there had to be an advanced life form to come there, build the pyramids, or build Phoenix, Arizona, or build New York City. He goes, like, there's no way, like...
Stonehenge.
Yeah, like...
Still makes no sense.
Yeah, so, like, there had to be... And then maybe, like, they died off. And then, like, the world went to shit, and then we all grew up back. Like, we're 4.6 billion years into this.
And
there's
it's just
no
that
way.
humans happen to have just gotten to the point that they're at to where we can now be, like, making some more, like, discoveries and making more advancements. But, like, I still think we have a lot of catching up to do.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of catching up to do.
Like, speaking of aliens, I'm trying to find the photo because it has the caption and the story behind it, and I don't want to get it wrong. But there were those aliens that were dressed in black.
Yeah.
Who walked into a man's place of work and asked if he was working today. And the lady at the desk said no. But when she described them, they had no eyebrows. Their eyes were their eyes were larger than normal humans. They were in large trench coats and a hat. And, like, the way that they just carry themselves were not, like, human-like. It was weird.
Interesting.
And they were like, is he here? And she was like, no. And then they walked out. And there's, like, pictures. I'm trying to find them on Google of, like, that particular instance. But not with the story. But, like, right here. Like...
Okay.
Yeah. So
really looking like a traditional businessman, but like in a hat and like really going out of
no
the way
eyebrows, no body
hide
hair,
their faces,
like weird, like so. I don't put it past us that there's aliens here, and if there are, then there are. But like,
listen,
there's never been a mass shooting done by an alien
that we know of.
Yeah. So like in 1954 when Eisenhower met, or 1953 when Eisenhower met with the Greys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like. There's a whole theory about how the President Eisenhower met with aliens in like exchange that we keep them a secret, but they don't destroy us. But they like part of their deal is that they can abduct humans and like do research on us, but there cannot be any scars left or memory of us being abducted, and like certain stuff like that. And then like Jojo worked. My brother, he worked with a guy who was convinced that he was abducted, and he would like just recall the story and just tell them all the time. And there's real people out there who like were like, I was abducted. Yeah. And there's videos where there's a video where this guy is walking outside. It's like a security camera, and he's walking past a fence, and then there's a bright light, and then he appears on the ground like 5 feet later, like 5 feet away from where he was, like 3 minutes later. And then he gets up and starts running. Like there's videos, like, whether they're photoshopped or not, there's still videos out there that make you think.
And that's what I always wonder is, like, are these actually... and it's the same thing with the 9/11 stuff, and it's the same thing with really any of these. Is it just somebody that's really clever and, like, really good at trolling people and really good at video editing and photo editing and all that shit that's, like, making people believe this because they want to fuck with people? Or is there something to it? And, like, it's worth thinking about either way. But, like, that, I think, for a long time, and maybe even sometimes still now, like, when I hear some of the things that come up in these conspiracy theories, is the first place that my brain goes. Is, like, don't you think that's probably just somebody being an asshole and, like, trying to mess with you?
Especially with this technology and, like, how we can Photoshop as well as we can now. Like, it's totally possible.
Well, and, like, you know, like, they have the face... thing now. I don't know what it's called, but it's been talked about a lot in recent like months and everything, where people are able to really, really do a good job of editing people's faces onto other people's bodies and make it look seamless. And it's causing a lot of trouble because a lot of people are having like fake sex tapes made where like it's a regular porn video, but they replace it with like a celebrity's face or like someone that they don't like's face, and then it gets sent out like that, and it looks really real. And like I've seen some of them. I'm gonna be like honest about the fact that I'm an adult that has like seen porn before, and like there are some that like I just see like the thumbnails of it or whatever, and I'm like, damn, that's pretty fucking real looking. Yeah. Like it's obviously fake, but like it's it's believable.
Yeah, no, they're getting really good at it, but it's just like the whole life on Mars conspiracy too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're 4.6 billion years old. There's no way that we're the only one who's had life on Earth. Venus, maybe not. Venus is full of lava. Mercury, maybe.
I totally could see Mars like being like having life forms on it, and like I know we had the Mars rover out there for like a long time. Rest in peace.
Yep.
But like again, like we might not be the most advanced life forms. What if those people what if there was a life form on Mars that just didn't want to fucking be seen? Like
Yeah. They see, like, the scientists, when they were scanning, they saw photos and stuff. They saw what they described as, like, you know, like, what a river delta looks like. When it goes all the way. Like, they saw, like,
I got an
water.
oceanography.
Yeah, yeah, I know you did. They saw, like, water tracks, like, across, like...
Right.
Like, I just don't... And then, like, there's all those science videos of, like, here is the Earth, and then you zoom out, there's Mars and Venus, and then you zoom out again, it's like Jupiter, the asteroid belt, everywhere, and then you zoom out again, and then there's like all 8 planets and Pluto, and then you zoom out again, there's our galaxy, and then you zoom out again, there's another galaxy,
There's no way that we're the only life forms.
No. And my question is, like, if we're not the only life forms, and as advanced as we are there more advanced ones out there? And are they trying to find us too? Or, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because, like, do they have, like, radical Christianity where, like, they, like, blow up buildings and stuff? Or, what is going on over there?
Yeah, well, and it ties back into, like, the fact that, like, they're here with us, right?
Yeah.
Like, if there are life forms that are more advanced than us and they've made it to us and are like assimilating as human beings and all that stuff, like, you know, what can they do? Like, are we ever gonna know, right? Like, in our lifetimes, are we going to have like something happen where an alien exposes itself for real, like indisputable, like this is an extraterrestrial being, and like they have outed themselves, and and will that start a fucking war?
Yeah, because the government is going to jump on that shit.
The government would snatch that shit up and probably try to like dissect it, and then like if the alien race gets like a hold of that, like do they come and fucking declare war on Earth? Because if they do, we're fucked.
Yeah, because like Lil Dicky said, like, does Earth go hard, or is it just another conquest?
Like, would they just come in here blasting at us and laughing at us,
making everybody disintegrate and assimilate? But no, like, and also another thing is, like, are aliens coming here because we are better than where they're from? Because if we are the most advanced life form, and we can't even do a fraction of what we can, like, we have the ability, like, we're not even doing a fraction of what the potential is, that's weird.
Well, and so, I mean, with, like, are we the most advanced? If we're the most advanced, I don't think that they could be here. Like, I think that if we're the most advanced life forms, we will get to them before they get to us. So, like, I think that there's a life form that is ahead of the game on us, because I feel like there has to be.
There has to be. But, like, knowing the life that we have, where white people go, historically, to different lands, and be like, huh,
this is ours.
It's ours now.
Yeah.
Like, what happens if we make that spaceship, or make whatever we need to do, and we land on a different planet with life, and the white superiority complex, or whatever it is, the white savior complex, that thing.
Yeah.
Like, it jumps down and goes, well, you're ours now. Like,
I could see it happening.
Like, how's that work? Because then, like, what? One planet's gonna be like, oh, Earth is added again because they destroyed their own planet, because, you know, in 12 years, everything we're doing to our planet from global warming is gonna
kill us.
Yeah. It's gonna kill us, and by 2048 we won't even be able to save it. But like what happens then? Like, do we land on a different planet and go like, or do we land there, try to be how we are now, and then get taken, and then be like, well,
I don't know,
because there's no money that you can pay me to not believe that we're the only ones out there.
No, not a chance.
We have 100 billion galaxies. Star Wars says in a universe far, far away. Like, how do we not know there's, like, not Star Trek or Star Wars out there, like, fighting fucking people?
Right.
Like, it's crazy. And, like, all of a sudden, like, Trump and Pence and all them are like, who was the last guy I said it? Ted Cruz? Someone saying that, like, we need a space force to stop us from fighting, like, space bad guys.
Space bad guy.
or something like that. Like they said that we need a space force. Why?
Yeah, like what do you know?
Like what do you are the closest thing to like the center of conspiracies, and why all of a sudden do you want us in space? Or we're gonna shoot asteroids?
Like why are we getting prepared for space?
Like why are we like did you guys go to like the Vatican where like or the Vatican also has books that no one can read, but like the White House has like a whole library full of like restricted shit that no one knows what it's like. What did someone go down there and like read a page by like, oh, by 2032 we're getting invaded? Like why? Like
yeah, like what? I don't know.
Something's got to happen. It's gonna be weird because we're young. Technology's still gonna be developing. I don't put it past that by the time I'm like 60 or before I die, I'm gonna see something fucking crazy.
I think so too. Yeah,
I'm gonna see something fucking crazy.
Fucking crazy.
And I hope I do, man.
I want a cool story.
I've always supported aliens. I hope they dropped. Like, I hope they come to my house, like, ready to fucking kill me. And I go, no way.
Nuh-uh.
I go, episode 4, the Cliff Podcast.
They go, we listened to it. Why do you think we're here?
I'll be like,
you listened?
I'm like, you listened to the fucking. Oh my god. Yeah, like.
They sponsor us. Episode 842 is sponsored by the alien race.
Yeah, you know? But, like...
It's sponsored by our good friend, Glebe.
Glebe. Or, Slorp. Or what?
Blorp.
Blorp.
Who's to say that Blorp from Episodes in Sexuality 2017 isn't really a sex-based government alien?
But, like, besides aliens, which... Aliens is the big one, because aliens is one that I think everyone should, or not should, everyone could support.
Everyone has an opinion on it.
Yeah, but everyone can support it at one... But, like... Unless you're, like, from... like a Republican governor from like Alabama, you don't support like extraterrestrials.
Well, it's like there's the it's like in Pillow Talking again, where it's like that's no coincidence. I call that shit God. Like people who just like believe that like God created everything, and it's like just right here we're gonna put shit, and it's gonna be you and all of you
and you
and like that's where that I guess is, but I mean so those are government ones, but so like more. Like I guess not as serious ones. I definitely believe that draft lotteries are rigged, which is a sports thing, but bear with me. So the NBA and the NHL have draft lotteries where the top 3 in the NHL and I believe the top 4 in the NBA picks in the draft every year are determined by like random like lottery ball style picks. Where like the numbers fall and like whatever combination is given, like that team gets the first pick and then the second and then the third and then the rest goes in order of record. And this started with the NBA in the 90s, and where people were believing that the lottery was rigged because they used to do where they would put envelopes with each team's logo on it into like this big spinning thing, and they would spin it around, and then the commissioner would pull one out. And there was like this theory that it was like the first ever lottery, the Knicks won it, and I believe it was for Patrick Ewing.
Okay,
I think so. And there was a theory that the envelope was frozen, and then there was a theory that the envelope so he could like feel the difference in temperature. And then there was a theory that there was like a corner that was folded on just that envelope, so that way he could like easily spot that was the one. And then. So there's that, and then, and that ties into just the fact that like the Knicks got the overall first pick, which is a team in New York, and they tried to give these lottery wins, these number 1 picks to like these big market teams. So if you look at a lot of the winners of these draft lotteries, in a lot of instances, it's teams in big markets or markets that are at least big for their sport specifically. So like the Edmonton Oilers in the NHL. Edmonton's a huge hockey town. Like, you know, Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player of all time, made his career there. And so they've won a good, like, I think maybe 3 of the draft lotteries in the last couple of years. The Rangers got a second pick this year. The Devils won it, and they're a big hockey town.
New York and New Jersey.
New York, New Jersey. In the NBA, there was when LeBron James was coming into the league, he was, you know, everybody was like, oh, who's going to get LeBron? And it just so happened that was the year that Cleveland got the number 1 pick, and LeBron is from the Cleveland area. Yeah. And so they got to get their hometown kid and have him be like the greatest of his generation and everything. So there's a lot about that, obviously. Yeah, and there was a couple of years where the draft was or the draft lottery was done in like a separate room, like not any cameras around. They like wouldn't televise it, they wouldn't show it. They would just like come out with the results and like, what are you hiding, right? And they now do like specials where they actually show that stuff. So that's, but like, can you rig like they do with the lottery balls? Can you weight them a certain way so that way they come out in a certain order to like get, or can you, yeah, like what can you do to like make that happen? So it's interesting, and they try to show a little bit more information on where they get the numbers from and how all of it works, so that way people can't constantly be like, this is rigged, but like that never really. I mean, people always end up thinking that it's rigged anyway. So, I mean, I don't really know what to feel about it. I don't care either, because I mean, I know they're all about making money, like, and if they think that that'll be the most marketable thing for a given team or for the league as a whole, whatever. I mean, like, does this year with New Orleans winning the NBA draft lottery and getting Zion, does that make sense? Maybe. Maybe if they keep AD, maybe.
But he still demanded a trade.
So I don't know.
Anyway.
But, so there's that one. And then, so this is one that I don't really have shit for. I just am like, something's up. Because we talked about them a few weeks ago. Rise Records is making me feel weird. Like, I just, every once in a while there ends up being a big scandal with a record label where they turn out to be really shitty because they're a corporate thing. And, like, of course, right? Like, with the Day to Remember breaking off of Victory Records and doing their own thing. And, like, Common Courtesy was a big fuck you album to Victory Records, and like they like had an audio clip of them sending the email where they basically told Victory Records and their like got their manager there to go fuck themselves, and like they were quitting the label and everything, like, so Victory kind of had like a big downfall and they've kind of recovered, but like they're tainted in a big way, and I think that Rise Records is going to be next. They have a lot of bands on Rise. Issues is on there, and Knuckle Puck is on there. I think Sleeping with Sirens is still with them. I don't think they ever left them. Like, there's a lot of big name bands like that in the scene that are with Rise Records, and I mean, Rise, Hopeless, and Fearless are like the big three, and then like Pure Noise is right behind with like the more like pop punk and hardcore side of things. But like Rise just feels off to me, and we were talking about it, like Issues' new song Tapping Out just is like a generic Rise Records song. Like, we're gonna scream the verse, we're gonna sing the chorus, Tyler Carter's gonna do this and this, and then there's gonna be a dun 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 dun, and then it's gonna slow down into like Tyler Carter really belting and hitting like really pretty notes, and then there's gonna be one more scream and then a chorus and the song's over. And to me, like, I didn't understand why they put out a song that sounds so much like what they already were making before. And like, it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Why did you take Michael, who to me was the best part of your band, out of the band? And for me, I mean, and I was talking to my friend Karina about this, and apparently, and I never, like, I stopped paying attention to Issues, so I didn't know this, but they apparently finally came out with a statement, like, just recently, after, like, what, over a year since they took Michael out of the band, and they were saying that, like, when they were in the writing process for new stuff, Michael just wasn't putting in work, and they tried to tell him to work harder, and he, like, didn't. So that's the story they're giving, but they waited a year to tell that story, which to me is like, I don't believe you. I just don't.
But yeah, because then you see Michael make his new band and how involved and like, just how involved and out he was about it.
And you see how involved he was in the first couple of records with Issues, and like, I mean, and with Woe Is Me, even if you want to go that far back. And like, I just don't believe that, and I think that there was partially a thing about Tyler Carter having too big of a fucking ego and not being able to put that aside because people liked Michael better. And like, Tyler is a great vocalist. He's got an incredible voice. But like, people liked Michael's vocals better. A lot of people did, at least. And I think that he couldn't handle that, and he couldn't handle the fact that people liked Michael's personality better, which was really the big thing, was that people loved Michael for who he was with his Twitter presence and with his presence at like Q&As and like at VIP meet and greets and shit like that. Like, I remember when I had VIP to meet Issues, like, a lot of people, like, made it a point to go up to Michael first. And, like, I think that's just something that Tyler doesn't like, and I can't say that I was looking at him for that reaction or anything, so I don't know. But, like, just knowing who he is, like I could imagine that not sitting well with him, and him being like, fuck it, we know that AJ can do screams, so let's, whatever, like, let's kick this guy to the fucking curb. And then I think there's also meddling with Rise, where they were like, something came up with that. I mean, because they also had Scout in their band doing the DJing shit, and then he left and he was like, I'm gonna do my own music and like my solo work. It's like, well, couldn't you have stayed in the band and done both? Like, because then Issues didn't really stray from like having, like, they strayed a little bit from having the electronic aspects, but like not entirely. It's weird. It's really weird. So I just think that there's going to be eventually, and it's not going to be with Issues because they clearly are like ready to stick to Rise Records, but like there's going to be a band on Rise, and it's going to have to be a big name band, like a Sleeping with Sirens or something of that level. But like somebody's going to finally come out and drop a Day to Remember level, like, fuck you, Rise Records, this is what you've done, and here's an album about it, and you're fucked. And then that will be where all of that kind of becomes revealed. So, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, like, there, again, like, I have no, like, evidence where people have said this is, like, a thing. I've just kind of been, watching the way the scene has been going. And, look, I mean, at least on the bright side, there are kind of other bands, like, there are bands like Knuckle Puck that are way different from Issues, and, like, they're still doing things differently, and they're, they're not generic like that. But then, I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah, Rise always has the tendency to mellow bands out.
Yeah, because Sleeping with Sirens went in that direction. You could even really say that Knuckle Puck kind of went in that direction. Their album is a little bit more chill with Shapeshifter than Copacetic was. It's still good, but
Rise is like, you guys can write whatever you want for the first 2 albums, build a fan base, and then when you get it, we're gonna kill you.
I have a list of like every artist that they have on their label, and so just some notable ones, right? Bless the Fall, Crown is on there, and they've totally changed a couple of different times. Devil Wears Prada.
That's what I mean. When Dave left Crown the Empire, Crown the Empire said the same statement that Issues said. They say that Dave was not putting in work, or he wasn't showing up, or he wasn't doing this or that. Dave's statement said Rise would write the song and then give it to us, and we had to perform it. He goes, there was no creative process in it. He goes, Rise would give us the lyrics and we would have to sing it. He goes, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that's another band. They got rid of their screamer with the same excuse that Issues did. But like with Dave actually saying something about it and being like, no, this is Rise Records interfering. So that's an interesting little fold in that, right? Other bands, Knuckle Puck again, Issues, Kubla Khan. Mayday Parade, which, I mean, I still think that they're good, but like they've really stuck to a formula. They really have. Of Mice and Men, which Austin, his health, you can't control that, but like they replaced one clean vocalist with another and all that stuff that happened. Paris is on there, Pivris. And then Tyler Carter as a solo artist as well. And then there's a bunch of others. Those are just kind of some of the bigger ones. I think that the house is going to fall down on them eventually, because you got people like Michael and Dave who like are incredibly talented and kind of got fucked. And what Crown is doing now is great. Like 2020, What I Am, like those are great singles. I think that album, when they finally like decide to drop it, is going to be really great. But Rise clearly interfered with Dave being a part of that band for whatever reason. They did not want him in that band, and for whatever reason, I don't think they wanted Michael in it either. And I don't think Tyler needed much convincing. So I think that if you keep doing this to people, like if you do it to the like more of the guys in Palisades, and if you do it to anybody in Paris or anything like that, like something's going to break down. Yep.
So that's definitely something.
But I mean, obviously that just can't be limited to Rise. It could just be every music corporation who's like, let's stir something up.
Yeah, I think any of the major record labels could have that kind of downfall. Rise is just the one that stands out to me with the removal of band members like that. But like it could happen with Hopeless, it could happen with Fearless, it could even happen with Pure Noise. Pure Noise feels like the least likely one. It's like my favorite record label. Like all the best bands kind of end up over there, and like don't stray away from like what they do best. So I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
What else do you have on your list?
That's all of mine. I mean, I want to like get to the.
Can we do one more before you call me out?
Sure, yeah. Give me one more good one that you want to talk about here.
Well, not really a good one. Do you believe in the Bermuda Triangle?
I don't know.
No.
I
know
know.
I know I'm planning cruises for Sydney. We're going to Mexico, and she said she's terrified of boats. She just doesn't like being in the water, like around nothing.
So this is inherently flawed.
What?
Going on a cruise.
Oh yes, yes. But she goes, I'll give it a go. And I was like, okay. She goes, however, we have to go somewhere where we will not
go to the
Bermuda Triangle. And I was like, okay. So we're leaving from Mobile, Alabama. We're going straight to Mexico and back. So we'll be in the Gulf, not the Bermuda. But her grandparents just wanted a 10-day cruise through the Bermuda Triangle. And the day before they left, I told her that. And she made me sit down and read 100 facts about the Bermuda Triangle.
Sounds about right.
Because that's how Sydney is. But I don't know if I believe, like, the whole theory of, like, people disappearing. It happens all over in every form, like, in every form of water. People just, like, some guy just disappeared on Lake Lanier. Also, Lake Lanier haunted.
Oh, that's not even a conspiracy. Lake Lanier is fucked up. I mean, they built it on top of, a city. They, like, flooded cities to build that lake.
Yeah.
Like, and people have talked about, like, people that have survived drowning, almost drowning, have talked about, like, how they felt like something was trying to pull them down.
Yeah.
Like, and that is why a lot of people like die in that lake, is because there's like buildings and trees and shit that weren't cleared out, and then you dive into that water and you like hit your head on something, or you get your leg caught in something and you drown.
Lake Lanier in Georgia, by the way, if those of you who are not in Georgia.
Lake Sidney Lanier.
Lake Sidney Lanier, very haunted, always fucked.
It's a huge man-made lake. Like you can get to it from like a bunch of different towns throughout the state. It's big and it's scary, and my dad almost drowned in it once. Like the first time we went on that lake, my buddy from elementary and middle school, they had a boat, and they like invited us out the summer after 5th grade to go, and we were like, yeah, let's go. And my dad like decided not to wear a life vest because he's an adult and he can do what he wants, and we didn't know shit about Lake Lanier really.
Yeah.
And he like got exhausted out there, and like it's not like anything happened to him that we know of. Mm-hmm. But like he just got really exhausted, and like luckily they were able to like get like the boat like to or some Michael's dad, I think, like ended up grabbing him and helping him get there like with a life vest on. But he was like holding Tyler, who was like 5 at the time, who had a life vest on at least. But like, you know, like he almost drowned. And like, is there something that can you say that there was like a ghost or something that like was trying to fuck with him? Maybe. Or did he just get exhausted from treading water for too long? Maybe. But like it happens to people at Lake Lanier like dozens on dozens of times every summer.
And people die there all the time.
Like, yeah, like even when it's not in season for people to bring their boats out on the lake, people are just dying there or being found there.
Like
constantly.
Like the King brothers, Queen, like they were some.
Yeah.
It was like Prince brothers. It was like royalty. It was the royalty last name. Like
yeah.
King, Queen, Prince, something like that.
King, I think.
Yeah. Or I could have sworn it was Prince.
Maybe.
Something like that. They died. Rest in peace to them, of course. But there's always people dying at that lake.
And they don't find the bodies.
No, two people just disappeared 2 weeks ago. It was a 39-year-old man, a 65-year-old dude.
And they just straight up don't find the bodies, which is crazy.
It's weird. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Okay, have you had a paranormal experience?
Yes.
I am trying to not get called out for my...
You're trying to avoid it so hard, but we gotta wrap up the episode soon, and I'm not gonna let you get away with it. Yeah.
What paranormal experience have you had?
So, one of the theater buildings on campus, the Martha Monroe building, which is kind of our main building. It's like the offices are there. We have a rehearsal space in there. We have our like computer lab and lighting lab in there. Like, you know, it's like the main theater building. And it's called Martha Monroe after like the woman who dedicated or like who like sponsored a lot of the school buildings. And we believe that her spirit is still in our building. And a lot of us have had our own experiences with it. This one guy, Brian, he was in there late one night over the summer, like he was like a marketing, like essay for the summer. And so he was like in Carrollton, so he was on campus, and he just like went in there one night to like I think watch movies or just hang out. I don't fucking know, but he was in there and he's like singing along to something, and then you hear a scream, it like from somewhere off camera, like, and it sounds really far away, but he's in like this building that's not that big, and it's like 3 or 4 in the morning. There's no one with him. He's the only one in the building, and you hear it, and then you see him be like, "Holy shit!" And then like. Yeah, so that was weird. But like it's a lot of just random shit, and we all kind of believe that Martha is pretty nice as long as like you're nice to her. But like there are doors that like are supposed to either like you're like they will just open by themselves, and they're like the doors that like if you press a button they'll swing open or something. But like nobody's near the button.
Yeah,
and it'll just swing the doors will swing open. So, or like something will like just fall or shit like that, like little like random shit like that, and we'll all just kind of like look up and be like Martha. So like we've all kind of had a moment like that. I was like it was like almost finals week, or maybe it was finals week just a couple weeks ago, and I was like in the CAD lab really late one night doing homework, and I heard footsteps from upstairs, and I was like, that's not right. Yeah, and nobody was up there.
Of course.
So yeah, like that's why I was like, what the fuck? Like, so it was very strange. Because I went upstairs to be like, somebody up here? Because it was like, it must have been like 1 or 2 in the morning. But nobody was up there. And so I was like, who the fuck is running around? Martha, why are you getting your exercise in now? Like,
yeah. Like, you have all day, Martha.
But what about you? What's your,
Well, as you know, the house I lived in before I lived in this one was haunted.
Yes.
We called her Sally. Not sure if there was an actual name for her. Like, I don't know what her real name was.
Yeah.
But, I moved in the house when I was 8, and there was... When you walked upstairs, to the right was my little brother's room. Between our rooms was a closet, and then my room to the left, and then a bathroom. Farther down the hallway to your right, there was an office/game room. Straight ahead was the master bedroom, and to your left was a guest room.
Okay.
We kept the guest room empty for pretty much the first year that we lived there. It was a lot of storage, kind of like it was empty in the fact that we didn't use it for anything besides storage. And every time you walked in there, the room was like always like 6 degrees warmer.
Okay.
Like than the rest of the house. Like we kept our doors closed everywhere, and like every room was the same temperature, but that room was always humid for some weird fucking reason.
Okay.
And every time we walked in there, it like you just felt weird, just because like whether you didn't go in there enough or like it was warm, like it was just like it was never comfortable being in that room. But eventually, like my grandparents and family were like reaching out to us. They're like, "Hey, we want to come and visit," so we put a guest bed and everything in that room.
Sure.
And we started making it a little more homey.
Yeah.
Homey. Yeah. What?
Homey.
Homey. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were making it a little more homey. My grandmother came down, and you know, as a kid, you like sleep with your grandparents, like spend time with them, whatever. At least I did. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I had my hand like over the back of the bed one night, and I felt tapping on my hand. I was like, okay, that's weird. And then my fingers like started moving, like it was like playing with my fingers, and I was like, and I like didn't freak out because I was like with somebody. You know, if I was alone, I would have fucking put a hole through that wall.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, so I took my hand off the bed and it went away. But then I did it again, and I felt tapping again. And I was like, okay, this is weird.
Yeah.
So I go, and this was a big when like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures and all those like shows were big.
Right.
So I immediately was like, our house is haunted. Let's go. And we took like negative photos. We took infrared photos like from the cameras and stuff. I was like, all right, it's got to be from the closet, because if you hang your hand over by the closet, you feel it. I had my friends come over, and they were like, what the fuck is that? So like I tried it. Me and my ex-girlfriend from like 9th grade, like went into the closet. Well, this was like 7th grade, so before we were dating, and you hear her like freak out and like scream. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And we get out, and her shirt got pulled up, and she had a red mark across her ribs, and obviously it wasn't me. Right. And so throughout our time with Sally, we realized she does not like women. Okay. So
So, like, what was the theory? Like, what did y'all think? Like, why did you guys see Sally, and why was she mean to, like, your mom and stuff? Like,
Alright, so our theory was that since me and JoJo as males, you know, just discovered her, and were always, like, in full support of Sally. Like,
yeah,
she's there,
like,
she's
never
there, she's
doubted
there.
it.
Yeah. My mom doubted her a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So our theory was like, oh, the only female in the house does not believe me. I'm going to make her life hell.
Sure.
And for years, my mom did not believe us about Sally. Until one day she called me while I was in New Jersey. And she goes, I go, hey, Mom, what's up? And she goes, I believe you now. And I was like, about what? And she was like, Sally. And I was like,
oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
She was like, I was sitting downstairs. I have all the animals with me. Mia, Bocce, Spanky.
God tier animals.
God tier animals. Rest in peace, Bocce. I miss you every single day. So she goes, we have all the animals downstairs with me. I hear running upstairs. So I go upstairs and check to make sure it's not an actual fucking person.
Sure, like a fucking home invader.
Yeah. No one's up there. I go to bed. I wake up the next morning. All my cabinets are open downstairs.
It's fucking weird.
No forced entry. Like, the house was, nothing was stolen. She goes, the doors were just open.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit.
Ooh.
So, we're also trying to sell the house, like, a month later. Not because of the ghost, just because we were trying to downsize.
Yeah.
But every single time that we tried to sell the house and people would come to look at the house, they would always complain that there was a smell of dead meat and gasoline. Which was really weird.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you went back to watch, like, Ghost Hunter, Ghost Adventure shows, they would always say, demons or ghosts or spirits can affect the temperature in a room.
Which makes the 6 degrees hotter.
Which explains the room upstairs, and but they can also change the smell of room. Like, they bring, like, a rotten smell. And so my mom was like, this is fucking crazy. My mom, who's not religious, but is sort of spiritual and very superstitious, bought a candle of St. Joseph. I want to say it's St. Joseph. Where the superstition behind that is if you bury the candle in front of your house, I'll help you sell your house.
Okay.
It's on the market for at least a month. No one's buying it. Everyone who's walking in is saying it still smells like gasoline and dead meat. We are deep cleaning this house like no tomorrow. We are giving our animals to, like, our neighbors to watch, like, during the visits. Maybe it's them.
Do you think that Sally at this point is trying to, like, sabotage y'all? Like,
that's what we...
to keep y'all there?
I guess that's... If we're looking at it theoretically, like, we believed in her.
Yeah.
Maybe she was like...
She was like, I want people that believe in me to be here.
Yeah, she was like, I'm fucking here. But... So my mom eventually got sick of it. She goes, we need to move. The school year starts in a month. Like, we need to get going.
Yeah.
So we bring a medium in there to bless the house. She went in there, no information given. Just like, hey, can you just walk around, bless our house? She walks in, and she goes, okay, I feel something. She walked around downstairs, nothing too major. She's like, I feel an energy in here.
Yeah.
She walks upstairs, and immediately as she hits that guest room, her hair and her arms and the back of her neck, they stand up. And the scariest thing I've ever seen in my entire life was when she turned around and she said, you have to get out of here because she does not like you.
To who? To you?
To my mom.
To your mom, okay.
Yeah, she was like, you have to get out of here because she does not like you.
Shit.
And my mom was like, what the fuck? And me and Georgia were like, oh shit.
Oh shit.
Like, we're right.
Mama, she don't fucking like you.
Yeah, that was the scariest moment of my life. Because my mom was like, in a way, like, it almost felt like she was, like, in physical danger. Like if you don't leave, like, this ghost is gonna strangle you to death. Like, something's happening. So they blessed the house. After a month and a half of this thing being on the market, they blessed the house or whatnot. We sell it 2 days later. Damn. And that was my that was, like, my major paranormal experiences. There's also ones of, like, where you go to, like, Tannery Row in Buford. They used to have, like, an upstairs that, like of an abandoned shoe factory that we used to, like, sneak into, like, take pictures. There was always, like, some orbs or shit, like, flying around, whether it was dust or not.
The orb stuff, yeah.
Yeah, we were, like, 13. Whether it was orbs or dust, but it was always, like, we were always in abandoned houses just trying to find shit.
Well, and, you know, with Sally and then with Martha for me as well, like, there's that thing that we remember we went on the ghost tour in Greensboro.
Yes.
And the tour guide, one of the things she said, and it stuck with me ever since, was like, even if you have to be respectful, whether you're a believer or a non-believer, you have to be a respectful believer or non-believer, because if you're not, that's when a spirit will fuck with you. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, I mean, you lived with Sally in your house for what, 8 or 9 years? You were in that house, right? We moved in
2005 when I was 8, and we left when I was 17. So 9 years, yeah.
So 9 years in that house, and like, you and JoJo, for all intents and purposes, were respectful, and you were believers, and your mom was a non-believer, which can be fine, but like, she was kind of disrespectful in a way by being like, fuck you, like, there's no way that she's, you know, fuck that. So it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe that ties in, I don't know, because this, like, I mean, maybe when that medium came in and like talked to your mom and was like, you're in danger, like, and then maybe that was a wake-up call for your mom, and then like there was a change in the energy.
That was the scariest thing ever, though, to like, because like, to me and JoJo, it was just like a juvenile ghost, like fucking around, like running around the house, hanging, like, never did anything wrong to me and JoJo. All it did was like run around, touch our fingers, like, it was like stupid stuff like that. We were never, me and JoJo never in a million years thought like, hey, like, if we don't leave, like, it's not the end of the world. You know?
Like, there was no like fear.
When we saw like the lady who like can feel this energy turn around and like in like such a flushed face be like, you have to leave, me and JoJo were like, this is weird.
Like, oh, we have to leave.
Yeah, like, sure, Sally. So we blessed the house and we sold it 2 days later.
Jesus. Okay. Well, we are over 1 hour. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think this would be so long. I knew that we had like some shit to talk about with this, but I didn't think we'd be able to fill over an hour of talking about this.
I'm sure. If you guys are still here listening to it, thank you.
Fucking appreciate it. But I guess now, as we'll wrap up here, but before we wrap up, I can't let you get away with it. You have to tell us, tell the people, Dante, there's something that you don't believe in that's very strange. You know, some people don't believe in Sasquatch or Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster.
Sasquatch and Bigfoot are the same.
Right,
person.
But in different cultures. Isn't that a thing? I don't fucking know.
I have no idea.
But
like,
you know,
Sasquatch, like in Saskatchewan?
Sure.
Canada?
Sure. So, you know, some people don't believe in Bigfoot. Some people don't believe in the Loch Ness Monster. Some people don't believe in ghosts or aliens. You don't believe
in constellations. I don't believe in constellations. The pictures, the stars.
It's so stupid.
Why? How is that? You've been on a cruise?
I've been on a cruise.
Have you been in the center of the ocean with a starry sky above you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've probably taken a peek. There's a good chance I've
looked up and was like, wow, look at all those stars.
I mean, I don't remember the specific stars, but like, they were there. Yeah.
But I'm saying, so like, if you're looking at a sky full of stars, you're telling me you can't point at one star to point to another one and look at another one and look at another one and make the Big Dipper?
I mean, isn't there like a thing about like their coordinates too though? Like,
I don't know, because like you go back and like when you buy a star for someone, it gives you like you have star like M17 4K Z12 whatever.
Yeah.
There's you go outside at this time, you look up and you'll see it. So like, I don't know if stars have coordinates and whatnot. So if it's like specific coordinates that make up the Big Dipper, then yeah, sure, I guess I can get behind it. But
behind it.
But like, if you look up into a sky full of stars, you're like, you can make pictures out of any star. Like, why does it have to be specific ones?
But like, there's a difference between like just like doing like a connect the dots type thing and like and you know, just making whatever fucking shape you feel like, versus like, hey, this thing makes a specific thing that you can like see.
Okay, but even the other night when I'm standing in the middle of the road with Nigel and I'm telling him about my non-belief in constellations, he tells me to look up. He goes, look, there's the Big Dipper. And I was like, okay. I go, say that is the Big Dipper.
Sure. Let's pretend.
Yeah, let's pretend it's actually there. Say that's the Big Dipper. I'm standing what looks like right now, right below it. Can some guy 900 miles away from me, who's also experiencing nighttime, can he look up and see the Big Dipper too? Or is it like, is it based on location, or is it based on like what?
Well, obviously it's got to be nighttime. So like, if it's like only 10 p.m. here, but it's like 7 p.m. in Seattle, like it's not even dark in Seattle.
No, but like, So time zones are straight up and down. If you were to just go 900 miles south, or like
So like where you're
Brazil.
still in the same time zone, it's still
to like Brazil.
okay.
Could that guy look up and see the Big Dipper, although it looks like I'm standing right below it? Because I know everyone can see the sun, like wherever you are.
Yeah.
But from like I've never felt like I'm standing right beneath the sun. You know, like the sun's always like out in front of me.
Yeah.
But like I felt like I was like looking straight up and seeing the stars. Like could that guy like 900 miles away like look up and see the same Big Dipper?
Well, would he look directly up? No, but could he look like I don't know, but like maybe he's looking more straight, like in like a more like just at a different angle.
Or does he have more stars in his sky than I have in mine because I have more light pollution and he can just make his own Big Dipper?
I don't fucking listen. I don't.
If
know.
you believe in constellations, that's fine.
Because that makes you normal.
It's not like they're gonna sign a bill against it.
Yeah, and like it's not like people are thinking about constellations every fucking day.
Exactly, except me because they're
except
fake.
you because you're the only one because you don't believe in them.
I'm the only one I've ever met that doesn't believe in constellations.
It's
not that I don't believe in them. Like obviously, like I said, like you can make the Big Dipper out of it. Like I don't believe like the Big Dipper is not a thing. Like because you can make it.
We don't believe that it's exclusive. Like
yeah, I don't believe like
a happen.
Is it specific stars that make it? Like is it the same stars every night?
I guess couldn't that just be like a solar system? A star is just like a sun, like out in like a far away. So like couldn't it just be that that's like their solar system looks like a fucking
I am
ladle?
Slim to none on my knowledge for astronomy.
I don't know shit.
But like that's my thing. Like you said coordinates. Like, does all the stars that make up the Big Dipper have the same coordinates? Are they the same stars, or is it just like whatever star decides to like tag
just
in?
Wander on in today?
Yeah, he goes, yes, I'm the handle.
Hey, star K4QTP2. I'm a little tired today. Can you take my shift?
Yeah, but
no, sorry. Star SFPJ is throwing a party.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like. I don't know.
I think you're fucking crazy.
I don't think I'm crazy.
Well, I don't know.
Either way, we have to wrap up this episode.
Yeah,
they're
Jesus.
probably not even listening.
Nobody's listening. They're all either asleep or have clicked away by this point. But if you somehow made it this far, then thank you. You can follow us on any of our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at The Cliff Podcast. Our full Facebook name is The Cliff with Jared and Dante. The @ is still at The Cliff Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube under that name. You can find us on Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Castro, CastBox,
Radio Public,
Radio
Google
Public.
Podcast, Breaker. Who cares? If you're listening to this, then you found us.
And if you don't pay your Spotify premium next month and you don't know what to do without listening to your weekly dose of The Cliff, then the good news is there are a dozen other ways you can find us, and some of them are free.
Yes.
And those are some of them. So thank you for listening. We will be back next week
With a surprise.
Surprise.
Well, next week.
Next week is the announcement.
Next week is the announcement of our surprise, which isn't really
Which will no longer be a surprise.
But it's a big event in the Cliff history.
It's a big deal. And let's give like a little hint. We're gonna have our first guest.
Yes, we're gonna have a first guest, and
it's not on the episode on the 8th is not who, like, obviously that's not when we'll have our first guest, but we will be announcing who that first guest is.
That episode will be released June 22nd.
Yes,
and do you want to give another hint? Like if they like to headbang very hard.
Yeah, like if you like to headbang,
if you like to headbang cool. To like music,
like it'll be cool.
You might enjoy this.
Like if you like music, yeah.
You might enjoy the episode.
It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So stay on the lookout for that, and in the meantime, thank you for listening, and we will be back with more of the same shit and more of our bullshit, and send us your conspiracy theories and send us anything that you might want us to do more research into and do another episode about conspiracies on, because I'm sure that a couple of months from now we could easily compile more conspiracies and do another episode. There are a million conspiracy theories, so like I think it would be so easy to do more of these. So we probably will somewhere down the line when we like don't know what else to do. So send us some of those, and we'll be back. So in the meantime, thank you for jumping off the cliff with us, and we'll see you next week.
Take care of yourselves.